Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Nameless here. Finally, we're able to start this mega project I have been working on for so long. And boy, I'm excited. For those who don't know, Pokemon Dreams and Desires is a project I have been working on for a long time. I won't waste too much of your time on the intro since the first chapter is already almost an hour long. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to revise what this series is all about before we begin. It's essentially a Pokemon anime AU, where instead of going to the Alola region, Ash heads to my original Pokemon region instead with my own custom Fakemon, original characters and plot, drawn and written by me. The dialogues that are written in italic are the internal thoughts and the normal dialogues are the speech. We also have a Discord server where I share my progress regarding this project pretty frequently if you're interested to join. And without any further ado, let's begin. Chapter 1. Ride of Divergence. Hello, Pallet Town! The one and only Ash Ketchum is back. The raven-haired teen swished out of the woods, declaring his arrival. Ash halted his sprint at the edge of a small cliff, his grin widening at the sight of his hometown. The familiar rooftops beat under the soft light of the sun, and the fields were brimming with life as the farmers plowed the ground with their toros. People in Pallet Town preferred to live by the old school ways. He could see the crowded local market from a distance. The stall owners had their hands filled with this time of the year. The end of spring attracted a lot of customers. Man, it's so good to be back home. The winds carried the scent of nostalgia, hitting him straight at the chest. A year since he left for Kalos, a year away from home. Pallet Town remained the same, a humble town that was completely unaffected by the growing industrialization of the rest of Kanto. It was unchanging. Can't believe it's been a whole year. Ash stretched his arms, taking a deep breath. It smelled like home. Pikachu hopped from Ash's shoulder, mimicking his trainer. The rodent was never a big fan of airplanes, too cramped for his taste. He preferred ships. There he wasn't obligated to sit in one place for hours. I wonder what the rest of them are doing. Ash thought out loud. Perhaps Professor Oak already told his Pokemon he was coming home today. He wouldn't be surprised if they were waiting for him. He couldn't blame them. He wanted to see his Pokemon just as much, to show them all the new Pokemon he caught in Kalos, to tell them about his adventures and accomplishments, that he was a better trainer than ever before. But first, there's something even more important. Mom's cooking. Ash grinned. His mom did say she was going to prepare something special for him, back when they talked in the airport, a special something for a special someone's return. Come on, Pikachu, last one to get there is a rotten egg. Ash grinned cheekily, sprinting into motion before his partner could even register his words. Pikachu snickered before following Ash. If it's a race Ash wanted, it's a loss Ash would get. Fast and furious, the two of them entered the territory of Pallet Town, passing by many familiar faces who greeted them. Ash flashed them a smile, waving them back as he ran towards his house. These were the same people he had known since his childhood. Now, these were the same people who cheered his return, calling him the pride of Pallet, for taking the name of their humble town to a stage as prestigious as the Kalos League final. A lot has changed. He still remembered the day when he was still a rookie. Back then, nobody used to take him seriously. And now, he couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment, a sort of pride taking over him. He made it to the finals of the Kalos League, something most trainers couldn't. What he did was extraordinary, the mark of a great trainer. Did you forget? Ash froze as that haunting sound echoed in his mind once again, reminding him of the age-old lesson instilled within him. The mightier the pride, the greater the fall. Pride, arrogance, and ego were sins. It was his hubris and pride that led him to isolate himself from his friends, the reason why he became so blinded by power. That greed and pride pushed him away from everyone, resulting in those dark times. Humility is the only reason he came this far. It is the source of his success, the reason why he is still standing instead of sulking around. Ash snapped back to reality, turning his attention back to the rodent up ahead. Pikachu was standing in front of the familiar house, waving at his trainer to come. Ash lost the race. Guess I'm the rotten egg, Ash chuckled, shaking his head. That wasn't important at the moment. What was important was seeing his mom again. Ash made his way to his starter Pokemon, the latter standing proudly with a triumphant smile on his face. Ash nodded. Pretty proud of yourself, ain't ya? Pikachu nodded, not even bothering to hide his smugness. Let's go and see Mom and Mimey. He gestured to the front door. Pikachu hopped on Ash's shoulder before the raven-haired teen made his way and opened the door. Stepping inside, he placed his shoes on the shoe rack before going inside and entering the living room. "We're home!" And no one was there. Huh? Ash tilted his head. The door wasn't locked, so someone should have been there. Perhaps they went to the market and forgot to lock the door. That's weirdly irresponsible of them. Mom never forgets the keys. Well, good thing we came here before anyone else. Whoa! Two hands covered his eyes, startling the raven-haired teen mid-sentence. Pikachu jumped from his shoulder, taking a defensive stance. His cheeks sparked aggressively. Who was she? Guess who? Panic faded into oblivion as Ash calmed down. It didn't matter how many years had passed. He would always recognize that voice. It can't be. Ash turned around to face the person, his suspicions immediately proven right. His face brightened at her sight. He knew he recognized that voice. She sounded the same as she looked, just older and more mature now. Amber eyes sparkled with mischievous energy. Her long auburn hair fell loosely past her shoulders, framing her face naturally. She wore a light blue corset top with white lace-up detailing layered over a white long-sleeved shirt. A brown belt circled around her waist with an orange clasp at the center. Her skirt was white and pleated, flowing softly at the hem. Black leggings ran beneath it alongside navy blue shoes. "It's you!" Ash exclaimed. "Anthea!" "The one and only," Anthea puffed her chest. "So, how's my favorite nephew doing? Did you like the surprise?" "You bet I do. I haven't seen you in ages." Ash grinned like Christmas came early. "You should have told me you were coming. Does Mom know you're here?" "She sure does. We just didn't want to ruin the perfect surprise for you," Anthea winked. She seemed pretty proud of herself. Pikachu lowered his guard, tilting his head. This woman was Ash's aunt? She did seem familiar, even if this was the first time he saw her in person. Then again, he had only seen most of Ash's family through video calls whenever they called to check on him. Most of them lived in different parts of the world, so rarely did he meet people from Ash's family in person. The last time he met someone from Ash's family was when they took that 4-month vacation right after their adventures in Sinnoh. "So, what have you been doing recently?" Anthea stopped, her eyes finally landing on the confused electric type. She diverted her attention in a flash, kneeling down to gently squeeze his cheeks. She squealed, "What a cutie! You must be the Pikachu that Dell told me about." "Anthea, I don't think..." Ash halted his sentence. Pikachu didn't shock her, as opposed to his worries. In fact, he seemed to be leaning into her touch. Ash chuckled. Should have guessed it. She always had a strange talent for making any Pokemon open up to her. "Dell told me a lot about you. It must be a lot, but thanks for taking care of Ash. It means a lot, you know?" Anthea raised him in her arms. Pikachu puffed his chest, another one who recognizes his brilliance. And what an exhausting task it was taking care of Ash Ketchum. "What's that supposed to mean?" Ash raised a brow. His starter snickered before giving him a smug side-eye. Ash rolled his eyes. What a traitor. Not even a full minute has passed and his partner has already switched sides. And he never even met Anthea before. Speaking of never meeting her before. "Say, Anthea, why did you come back?" Ash asked, more bluntly than he intended to. "Like, no offense, I'm totally psyched to see you again, but it's not like you to show up without telling." The last time he saw her, he was 9. Just like most of his relatives, his aunt didn't live in Kanto. Neither was his mom originally from Kanto if he recalled correctly. Their actual home was pretty far away. His mom settled down in Pallet Town after marrying his father, primarily the reason why Anthea's visits were so rare. "So, now I need to make some sort of special reservation just to see you guys?" Anthea pouted, standing up with Pikachu in her arms in a tight hug with a hurt expression. Pikachu crossed his arms, giving his trainer a disapproving look. Ash froze, hands already raised in defense, his stomach dropping immediately. He fumbled for an explanation or an apology. He couldn't make Anthea upset, especially after meeting her for the first time in years. And then, Anthea broke into a snicker. Pikachu followed soon. "Relax, I was just kidding. You should have seen your face." Tension popped like a bubble as Ash lowered his hands. He blinked, realization hitting him far too late. His eyes twitched in annoyance. She played him like a fiddle. She always did. "Real funny, guys. Real funny," Ash sighed. He took a deep breath, suppressing the second-hand embarrassment he felt after getting tricked so easily. "So, are you gonna spill the tea or what?" "To be honest, I wasn't planning on coming unannounced. But stuff just happened and your mom called me. It was a last-minute decision for both of us." Anthea rubbed the back of her head sheepishly. "But you know what they say, you can't always plan for everything in life. Sometimes you have to leave some room for surprises too." And immediately she regained her pride. Ash contemplated her words. He understood more than anyone where Anthea was coming from. He wasn't much of a planner himself, to be honest. Still... Ash! He heard a loud gasp from behind. Ash turned around, coming face to face with the owner of the voice and this house, his mother. "You're here!" Before he knew it, his mom had already dropped the grocery bags and pulled him into a tight embrace. She missed him, perhaps more than he missed her, and if he ever doubted that claim, he certainly wouldn't under his mom's bone-crushing hug. "Mom can't breathe." Ash choked under her grip. Anthea and Pikachu's sweat dropped. What's gotten into her? Oh. Delia came back to her senses. She loosened her grip, but she refused to let go. Raising her hand, she gently caressed his face. Her son, he was really here, back in Pallet Town. Ash sighed in relief. At least his bone didn't feel threatened anymore. He relaxed his muscles before hugging his mom back. He missed her more than he could explain, more than he understood at that moment. It didn't matter. Right now, he just wanted to be in her embrace once again. He was back home, in the warm embrace of his mother, safe and sound. It felt nice. "Sorry about that, honey. I just... you've gotten really tall. Taller than even me," she chuckled, rubbing his head affectionately. His shoulder alone was as tall as her full height. "Guess I won't be called a shrimp anymore." Ash grinned, rubbing his nose cheekily. Delia snorted, before caressing his face once again. His eyes seemed sharper now, more matured. She tightened her grip unconsciously. "You look a bit pale. Have you been eating well? What about cleaning your clothes? And changing your... I think we should talk about that later. Kinda starving here, Mom. Airplane food isn't gonna beat some good old home-cooked meal from your hands," Ash exclaimed, his face flushing slightly in embarrassment. He really didn't want to give Anthea and Pikachu any more reason to tease him, especially regarding that topic. Luckily for once, his growling stomach was a savior instead of an embarrassment. "Oh, right. You two must be really hungry after such a long trip." Delia clasped her hands, letting go of Ash from her embrace. Hurriedly, she entered the kitchen. "I already prepared the lunch before you and Anthea arrived. I'll just reheat it. Why don't you two take a seat?" She placed a pot filled with curry on the burning stove before opening the fridge and grabbing 6 eggs, 2 for each person. Cracking them in a large bowl, she started to whisk them. "Mimey, please put the groceries in their place. Anthea, could you give me a hand with the plates?" Anthea placed Pikachu on top of the table before giving Ash one last teasing smirk. Ash groaned. She was definitely going to tease him later about it. Mr. Mime carried the groceries before placing them in their right place. Her mom brought a lot of fancy products, ones she usually didn't bother buying. Strange. Ash took his seat at the table while Anthea gathered the plates and other utensils, arranging them on the table for everyone. Soon, the food was served. His mom's signature omelette rice and a full bottle of ketchup for Pikachu. Ash snorted at the sight of the drooling Pikachu. He was usually a little strict about Pikachu's diet and how much ketchup the electric type can consume in a day. Not today. Everybody deserved a good old cheat day. "Sorry about this. With all the preparation for the dinner, I really didn't get any time to prepare something special for the lunch too," Delia apologized. "But don't worry, the dinner will definitely be better. I even invited Professor Oak. Today's a special day after all." "Come on, Mom. You worry too much. Anything you make is always restaurant quality delicious." It wasn't reassurance, just the simple truth. As far as he was concerned, his mom was the best cook ever. Brock and Silent came the closest to her cooking skills. "Not gonna lie, sis, he got you there. The whole neighborhood used to praise your cooking back then." Delia blushed at Anthea's comment. She had a habit of getting embarrassed whenever she received any praise. Delia cleared her throat, accepting the praise with grace. She took her seat and then they started their meal peacefully. At least most of them did. Ash and Pikachu devoured their food furiously. Some people showed less energy in their entire lifetime than the duo did right now. Even Delia and Anthea, who were more than aware of Ash's eating habits, were taken aback. "You should eat a little slowly," Delia gently insisted. "Can't help it, Mom. It's so good," Ash replied. "Clement was a really good cook, but no one can match your cooking." Delia couldn't help but smile in exaggeration. It wasn't often when she realized how much her son had grown up, but underneath he was still so full of life. He resembled his father so much now, and was just as endearing as that hopeless man. "Clement, I heard about him." Anthea poked her head. "Del said you were traveling with some friends when you were in Kalos. Clement must be the one who took care of the cooking then." "You bet he did. But he isn't just a great cook, he's also the gym leader of Lumio City. And a really strong one too." He gave us one heck of a battle back when we challenged his gym. Ash's eyes flashed with excitement. They always did when he got the chance to talk about his friends. There's also his little sister Bonnie. She's in a Pokemon trainer yet, but I know she'll be one heck of a trainer one day. I just know it. And there's also Serena. She's a Pokemon performer. They do performances with their Pokemon in these huge tournaments. She is just as incredible too. Right now she's taking part in the Hoenn Grand Festival, just like how May did, so that she can prepare herself to beat the Kalos Queen Arya. Oh, and I haven't even talked about the others. There's Ash. Delia cleared her throat once again, this time with the intention of grabbing her son's attention. Why don't we finish the lunch first? I'm sure there's a lot you want to tell us. It would be easier to focus on you and not get distracted after the lunch. Ash blinked before looking at Anthea's face. She was definitely getting overwhelmed by his rambling. Guess he went a little overboard. Sorry about that. I got a little excited. Ash rubbed the back of his head. Anthea sighed before giving her older sister a grateful look. She did like Ash's enthusiasm. It was one of the many things she adored about her nephew. But there was a time and place for everything, including that enthusiasm. After the meal, Mimey offered to clean the dishes. Delia had been working tirelessly since the morning. The least he could do was make sure Delia could give her undivided attention to Ash. And then, Pikachu landed the finisher with Thunderbolt. Ash stretched his arms, imitating the gesture from that battle. He slumped down, panting slightly. Man, that last battle with Clemon was something else. Sounds like you had quite the adventure. Delia smiled, resting her head on her hand, completely immersed in his tale. You bet. Kalos was a blast. We met a ton of new people and Pokemon. Ash froze, realization dawning on his face. Honey? Delia tilted her head. Why did he suddenly stop? My Pokemon! I almost forgot about them! Ash exclaimed, startling Pikachu, who almost fell down from the table. The electric type shot him an annoyed look, but Ash either didn't notice it or simply paid it no mind. Instead, he grabbed his hat, putting it in its rightful place on top of his head. Mom, Anthea, I'm heading out to see my Pokemon. I'll be back soon. Already? Anthea asked. But you just had lunch. Don't you think you should rest a little first? Nah, don't mind him, Delia said with a knowing maternal smile on her face. Just be home before evening. Will do, Mom. Come on, Pikachu. Ash stormed out of the house. Pikachu sighed before parting ways from his beloved Ketchup with great difficulty as he followed his trainer. I gotta say, he hasn't changed a bit since the last time I saw him. I mean, I knew he didn't change, but you telling me that in the video calls and seeing it in person are two different things, you know? Anthea giggled, leaning back on her chair. Yeah, despite everything, they still seem the same. At least, that's what Delia hoped so. So, Del, did you make your decision about that? The laboratory came into view after a 10-minute run. Ash and Pikachu hastened their pace, elation filling them to their core. They didn't enter from the front door, choosing to instead leap from the fence, entering the familiar ranch. It was filled with all kinds of Pokemon. Some he recognized, others he didn't. Regardless of his boundless passion and curiosity for new Pokemon, he heeded them no mind. He had other priorities at the moment. Found him! Ash grinned, his gaze landing upon the two familiar figures in the distance. Bulbasaur! Charizard! Over here! Charizard raised his head before looking at Bulbasaur as the seed Pokemon did the same. That voice, it was familiar. They turned around in unison, squinting their eyes to make out the figure that was running towards them. It was Ash! Charizard spread his wings before rocketing towards Ash. The flame Pokemon slammed Ash into the ground, igniting his face with a point-blank flamethrower. Ash coughed slightly before Charizard licked his face in pure delight. Same old flamethrower greeting of Charizard. Bulbasaur followed soon, nuzzling his trainer. He preferred to show his affection in a more reasonable way. It's so nice to see you guys again. And that flamethrower of yours has seriously leveled up, Charizard. Ash rubbed the fire-type's neck with one arm and patted Bulbasaur's head with his other arm. You look great as ever too, Bulbasaur. Pikachu chimed in, climbing on Charizard's shoulder before fist-bumping the flame Pokemon. He certainly missed the old gang. Say, Bulbasaur, can you call the rest of the gang? I've been dying to see them again. Ash stood up from the ground and sat down, taking the opportunity to dust himself. Besides, I want to show you all the new friends I brought from Kalos at the same time. Bulbasaur nodded before he took some steps back to create distance. His bulb glimmered with solar energy at a much faster rate now. Once the energy brimmed to its limit, the seed Pokemon fired it all at once in a compact spear of light towards the sky. Rising high into the sky, the spear erupted into a spectacle of colorful lights, bound to catch the attention of everyone from every corner of the ranch. A minute passed in anticipation, yet it felt like an eternity. Then, Just like the raven-haired teen anticipated, the ground beneath them began to tremble. A small army of Pokemon was heading towards him in high gear. It was everyone. Before he knew it, he was already slammed back into the ground, bombarded with even more affection. Ash bursted into laughter, the tickling sensation taking over him. He could hardly breathe. "I haven't seen you guys in ages," Ash grinned before Bayleaf nuzzled him some more. Gibble chomped down on his head faster than Totodile could, upsetting the water type. "Hey, stop that. No fighting. You'll both get your turns." "Oh my. I was wondering what the sudden commotion was all about. Should have known it was you." "Professor Oak!" Ash stood up as the elderly man approached him. Sheepishly, he rubbed the back of his head. "Sorry about that. We got a little carried away." "Nonsense, my boy. You shouldn't be apologizing. This place is like your second home by now." Professor Oak rested his arm on Ash's shoulder. True to Delia's claim earlier, Ash was significantly taller than before. "Look at you. Such a fine young man you are turning into. And a trainer just as great. Your performance in the Kalos League was phenomenal, especially that battle in the finals. Dare I say, one of your finest." "Yeah, my Pokemon really did give their best. Unfortunately, I couldn't bring the gold home. Alan was really strong." "You shouldn't sell yourself short, my boy. Failure is only a natural outcome in one's journey. You're only 16. You have a whole life ahead of you with countless opportunities," Professor Oak reassured him with a firm grip on Ash's shoulder. He really wanted to sell the point. What's important is learning from those past experiences and improving yourself from every angle. That is the mark of a true trainer. Ash blinked before slowly nodding. He knew that much. It was the same mantra he lived by, the same ideal that pushed him that far in Kalos, to never give up until it's over. "Then, why am I feeling so unsatisfied?" Ash pondered to himself, a feeling that lingered around after everything that transpired in Kalos. Was it a dissatisfaction with his loss after coming so close to winning? That can't be right. He had enough clarity to know it wasn't the loss that was bothering him so much. Perhaps it was a part of the greater whole. Unfortunately, he had no idea what the root of this feeling was. It was frustrating and annoying. How was he supposed to find the answer if he didn't even know the question? "Well said, Professor." A lilac-haired woman approached them with another teen by her side. She wore a white top under a dark red biker jacket draped over one shoulder and held in place by a matching dark red choker, navy dark jeans with golden arrow detailing at the ankles, and a gold crescent moon belt at her waist. She had some kind of decorative blue pendant attached to her jeans. She appeared to be around Anthea's age. The teen was a silver-haired boy close to Ash's age. He had short, tousled silver hair and sharp amber eyes, with a golden earring in his left ear. He wore a silver jacket with green trim over a black shirt and dark pants tucked into brown boots with red detailing. A brown belt with an exactly same kind of decorative blue pendant sat at his waist. Yet, the most distinct feature about him was his left arm. It was completely wrapped with ashen clothing. There was an air of intensity around him. "Dear me, I almost forgot about you two. How rude of me." Professor Oak apologized. Old age was certainly showing its effects on him. He rested his hand on Ash's shoulder before pointing towards the two people with his palm in a polite gesture. "My boy, let me introduce you to my guests. This is Misaki, and this young man is Ren, Misaki's younger brother. He's nearly the same age as you, and a trainer just as formidable too." "It's nice to meet you, Ash." Misaki smiled. Ren remained silent, placing his hands in his pocket. He didn't seem much of a talker. Yeah, it's nice to meet you all. The name's Ash, and this is well, these are all my Pokemon." Ash spread his arms. Misaki waved his Pokemon as a gesture of greeting. A considerable amount of them responded back. She seemed pleasant. "Misaki here is a Pokemon researcher, one of the brightest among her peers too." Ash's eyes widened slightly in surprise. He was sure very few have ever received such praises from a veteran like Professor Oak himself. Currently, she is one of the leading researchers of the far-off Dawnera region. "Dawnera?" Ash pondered. "Nah, that name doesn't ring a bell." "You haven't heard of it? Now that's a surprise. It's super popular among high-class trainers like you," she informed. "Then again, it's very far away from Kanto. Naturally, not everyone would know about it. Dawnera is also outside the territory and jurisdiction of URPLA, on the other side of the globe actually. URPLA, United Regions of Pokemon League Association. Like most trainers, Ash did know the bare minimum about them. It was the organization that ran the majority of the regional leagues across the globe. They were also the ones to create the standardized set of rules that most regional leagues followed. Excluding the Lumiose Conference and the Veterans Conference, every other regional league he had competed in was under the jurisdiction of URPLA. That's really far, Ash muttered. It made sense. Not even an organization as prestigious as URPLA could spread their influence in every regional league across the globe. It's one of the largest regions in the world too. Originally, it used to be 7 smaller neighboring regions, but later on, all of them united as a singular region, a completely independent sovereignty. Professor Oak stated. 7 regions as one? Ash's eyes widened. One region was already big enough. Imagining the sheer size of a region that was 7 times larger seemed almost impossible. That's wicked! Ash grinned. If what Professor Oak said was true, that only meant one thing. There was a whole bunch of brand new Pokemon out there in Dawnera, waiting for him to discover them, far more than any other region he had traveled in the past. And just one more thought. Say, Miss Misaki, I have a question. Is there a league in Dawnera, like the ones here? Just Misaki will do. Miss makes me feel old. Misaki couldn't help but feel slightly self-conscious about her own age. She was already 27. She shook her head. Focus. As for your question, yes, we do have a Pokemon League. Just like many independent regions, it's called the Dawnera League Championship. In fact, ours is one of the most popular regional leagues across the globe. Among high-class trainers, she winked. The majority of them consider it as the most prestigious and difficult league in the entire globe. And the world stopped from Ash's perspective. The toughest league ever? The words slowly sank into Ash and their implication. A league more challenging than all previous leagues he had competed in, with naturally even stronger competitors. A place with battles more intense than what he has ever experienced. A slow, toothy grin formed on his face, one that struggled to contain his boiling emotions. Professor Oak, I think I know just the spot I'll be heading next. The elderly man laughed. He should have expected that from the boy. Not even a whole day since his return, and he already decided the next destination in his quest to be the very best. Excited, aren't we? Misaki giggled at the sight of his excitement. Then again, she expected that kind of passion from him. Well, there's one thing you should know. Not any trainer gets the chance to compete in that league. Only trainers with achievements under their career history that meet the qualification bar can register. Qualification bar? Ash's eyes widened. That's the force for a regional league. It reminded him of the Battle Frontier, an elite circuit where the only way to compete was through direct invitation, primarily due to its sheer difficulty and intensity. Only the best of the best could enter. It would make sense if Dawnera applied the same principle if their league was as prestigious as Misaki claimed. Indeed, it's primarily one of the many reasons why the chance to compete in the Dawnera League is so sought after, Professor Oak added. So, how do I qualify? Ash asked curiously. There are many ways to qualify. The details for that are complicated to say the least. Just know the harder methods are quicker, the easier methods are slower. Misaki explained. For simplicity's sake, one of the most popular ways to qualify for the Dawnera League is to crack the top 10 ranks of 4 regional leagues. That is naturally not the Dawnera League Championship. 4? Ash's mouth hung open. Getting 8 badges in time to qualify for a league was a rigorous task for most trainers. Cracking the top 10 in the most anticipated tournament of a region was another thing entirely. Ash knew that from experience. But to crack the top 10 4 times? That was but an Herculean task. Suddenly, a thought came to his mind. Frantically, he started to count. Kanto, no, darn it. Well then, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos? Yes, I got 5. Relief washed over the raven-haired teen. He thought he wouldn't make it. Phew, but man, those were some pretty insane standards. That's what happens when the best of the best won the same prize. Competition is bound to get tougher, so the standards are raised in accordance. Misaki crossed her arms. And I'm sure you will be a fine addition to that league. In fact, my brother here is also competing this year. Perhaps you two can be rivals. Ren slowly turned his head at her suggestion. What was she getting at? No way, you're competing too? Ash turned his attention to the silver-haired teen. He almost forgot about Ren, though it didn't seem like Ren was offended. That means you qualified too. Which of the leagues did you compete in? Carlos, Unova, Sinnoh, Hoenn, Johto, and finally, this year's league in Kanto. Ren spoke for the first time. His tone was soft, yet heavy. I won all 6 of their regional conferences. Those were the same leagues Ash had competed in, the same leagues where he gave his everything, the same leagues he failed to win. And here stood in front of him a trainer who had managed to win them all. Every league where he failed, this Ren had managed to succeed, an antithesis to his failure. Yet, strangely, he wasn't distraught. He didn't feel any such negative emotion at that moment. He only felt one thing: clarity. Ash had made his choice. This was the only path. Thus, he would have no regrets. Adjusting the brim of his cap, Ash pointed his index finger towards Ren. His grin returned, wider than ever before, eyes blazing with ambition. So that's why Professor Oak called you formidable. Now that I know your track record, there's only one thing to do. Ren, I challenge you to a Pokemon battle. Is that so? Ren remained unfazed. And what makes you assume I'll accept your challenge? Because that's what trainers do when they meet eye to eye. So, you ready to get started? Ren narrowed his eyes. There was not a hint of hesitation in the raven-haired trainer's eyes. His attention shifted to the Pokemon behind Ash. They seemed well trained, each one of them had a luster to them. But what caught his attention was their eyes. They had the same look as their trainer. Very well, I accept your challenge. Ash knew he wouldn't back down. We will have a 6-on-6 battle. No holds barred. No limit on switching or time either. Ren laid down the rules. However, I have a condition. A condition? Ash repeated in surprise. Not that he cared. A 6-on-6 no holds barred battle was already more than he could ask for. Fine. Name your terms, Ren. Just know that it doesn't matter what you throw at us. Me and my Pokemon won't back down. I am interested to see just how strong your Pokemon are. That's why, in our battle, I want you to use any 6 Pokemon from your entire roster, Ren demanded. Only then will I battle you. When you are at your best, I don't take empty victories. For a moment, everyone remained silent at Ren's demand. Ash contemplated his words, and then he couldn't contain his emotions anymore. The lingering feeling was long gone. All that remained was desire. Ren, I've only met you just now, but you really are something else. Fine, we accept your condition. Ain't that right, gang? Ash's Pokemon roared in unison, a visual representation of their moxie. Just look at these two. I knew they would get along just fine. They're already acting like rivals. Misaki chuckled in amusement. A rival was a positive addition in everyone's journey. And perhaps that was what Ren needed the most if he wished to challenge the Dawnera League. Someone he could truly test himself against after remaining relatively unchallenged most of his career. A battle between these two is bound to be a spectacle. Indeed, but I am afraid we can't have a battle of such caliber. At least, not here. Professor Oak laughed nervously. He didn't dare to think of the property damage trainers of their caliber would cause if they went all out here. They would level the whole field. Luckily for us, I have just the right spot. There's a place in my ranch that all kinds of high-level Pokemon use to let off some steam and exercise. I have to make sure they don't lose their edge after all, Professor Oak remarked. That will be a perfect place for a battle of this caliber. How about you all follow me? That way, you also get a little tour of my humble ranch before we reach our destination. The battlefield lay in a miniature canyon. It was cracking with scorched earth and the aftermath of countless past battles. Jagged cliffs loom on all sides, the stones bearing the marks of countless moves. Beyond the walls of the canyon, a distant forest remained, untouched and protected from the fury that often transpired in the canyons. Ash and Ren stood on the opposite ends, staring at each other. The rest of Ash's Pokemon were scattered across the canyon, waiting in anticipation. Professor Oak and Misaki chose to stand in the sidelines. The two trainers didn't bother requesting a referee, didn't need one. Simultaneously, both chose their first Pokemon. Pikachu, I choose you! Ash raised his arm, pointing towards their opponent. Pikachu grinned before he jumped from Ash's shoulder. He landed on the battlefield on all fours as his cheeks crackled with electricity. He was raring for some good old action, and with so many spectators, he had to give them a show. Lend me your strength, Houndoom. Ren threw his Pokeball with a swing. The Dark Hound emerged, baring her fangs. She let loose a menacing howl that echoed across the canyon. Neither held any type advantage for the first round, a test of pure skill. Start this up with good old Thunderbolt. Don't hold anything back. Pikachu leaped into the air, his body raging with electricity. With a fierce cry of his name, Pikachu launched a bolt of lightning towards Houndoom. Flamethrower, Ren commanded, short and simple. Houndoom's jaws erupted with her inner inferno before she shot the column of flames. The two elemental attacks collided, both equal in power. Neither could overpower the other, resulting in clouds of smoke. Man, talk about some serious power. That Houndoom's no joke. Ash covered his face from the smoke. Few Pokemon could match Pikachu's Thunderbolt. Fewer could match it at full force. Trailblaze. What move is that? Houndoom emerged from the smoke, engulfed in a green energy that accelerated her forward. Pikachu gasped as Houndoom struck him, sending him flying before he could even react. She was fast. Electro Ball, Ash commanded instinctively. No time to think about that unknown move. Pikachu shared the same sentiment as his trainer. He somersaulted midair, and once he caught enough momentum, he launched a spear of condensed electricity towards Houndoom at full force. She dodged, her reflexes and speed far greater than before. A familiar aura rose around her body. A speed boost, Ash recognized. His Pokédex beeped. Trailblaze, a grass-type attack. The user attacks suddenly as if leaping out from tall grass. The user's nimble footwork boosts its speed. So that's what it does. Ash gritted his teeth. The move reminded him of Flame Charge, low in power but with the additional effect of increasing the user's speed. A move like that will be tricky to deal with. Houndoom as a species are natural predators and masters of fire-type. Professor Oak pressed his chin. If trained properly, they are definitely capable of smelling their prey through the smoke, given their close affinity with it. Ash's Pikachu is pretty impressive too. Launching Electro Ball from that angle in midair is no joke, Misaki admitted, and its power is far above a normal Raichu too. Pikachu is falling. This is your chance, Houndoom, Ren remarked. Use Toxic. Houndoom opened her jaws, her fangs developing a purple ooze, drenched in poison. She lunged forward, her speed amplified due to Trailblaze. Oh no! Ash's eyes widened. Poison would make things far more complicated. Then, it hit his brain. Pikachu had just a perfect counter. Not so fast. Pikachu, use Iron Tail. The electric type hammered his tail in between Houndoom's jaws as it developed a metallic coating. The two moves struggled for dominance before Toxic exhausted itself first. That was a close call, Ash thought to himself. Luckily, his gamble paid off. Did he? Ren's eyes widened in realization. Iron Tail's property as a steel-type move rejected the effect of Toxic from affecting Pikachu's body. Now Thunderbolt. Pikachu sparked, more than ready to capitalize on Houndoom's close distance. Let go of him, Houndoom. Ren had no intention of letting that happen. Houndoom loosened her bite, throwing Pikachu back into the air and jumped back to dodge. Pikachu wasn't discouraged. He fired the Thunderbolt, narrowly missing the Dark type, but the impact of the attack sent Houndoom sliding back. She growled. That pest was going to pay for this. Now's our chance. Pikachu, use Quick Attack. Pikachu shot himself from midair, striking Houndoom again before she could even react, as she stumbled once more. Keep up the pressure, buddy. Iron Tail. Pikachu used a recoil from the impact to launch himself upwards before he dived down towards Houndoom, ready to hammer down the Iron Tail. Big mistake. Houndoom, use Crunch. Ren raised his arm before clenching his fist. Houndoom snarled, a malevolent energy swirling within her jaws. She braced herself before chomping down on the incoming Iron Tail. The metallic layer shattered under her sheer bite force. Pikachu screamed in agony, the painful sensation coursing through his tail. This wasn't the end of Houndoom's assault. Flamethrower blasted Pikachu away. Houndoom shot forward the column of flames, blasting the pesky rodent into the nearby boulders, shattering them in the process. Pikachu was buried under the rubbles. Pikachu! Ash screamed. The last attack definitely did numbers on Pikachu. Thunderbolt erupted from the rubbles as Pikachu walked out, still standing. He was winded from the last attack, but still more than ready to continue. He gave Ash a thumbs up. It would take more than that to take him down from the fight. Awesome, Pikachu. I knew that flamethrower wouldn't take you down. Ash grinned, turning his attention back to Houndoom and Ren. Time to take charge of this battle. Use Thunderbolt. Make it count. I don't think so. Ren scoffed. Repeated Trailblaze. Houndoom dashed forward, striking the electric type before he could even store up the electricity, and again and again. Houndoom kept bombarding him with one trailblaze after another, each time faster, each time she struck harder thanks to the acceleration. Houndoom is completely overwhelming Pikachu, Professor Oak said. Ren sure doesn't take any chances. I believe Ren has finally got a good idea of how strong Ash's Pikachu is, especially after tanking that point-blank flamethrower. Misaki added her own thoughts to the matter, so he wants to take down Pikachu as quickly as possible. Come on, think. The raven-haired teen gritted his teeth in frustration. Nothing came to his mind. No, he couldn't give up. There had to be something. Houndoom was repeatedly hitting his partner, making him stumble. Stumble, that's it! Pikachu, use the momentum! Ash exclaimed. Give him your electro ball! Ren raised a brow. What was he trying this time? Pikachu gritted his teeth, bracing himself. His tail sparked, storing up electricity. He had a pretty good idea of what Ash was thinking. Risky, but worth the shot. Houndoom struck the road in once again. This time, Pikachu didn't resist the incoming force. Instead, he went with the flow of the force, stumbling before using the momentum of the impact to spin. Pikachu swung his tail before he launched the electro ball towards Houndoom. She couldn't turn around in time and was forced to take the full brunt of the attack. That one hurt. Pikachu stumbled back. The accumulated damage from Trail Blaze was taking its effect. At least they were free from the avalanche of Trail Blaze now. Not bad, Ren remarked. Pikachu furrowed his eyes in annoyance. He'll show that guy. By the time Pikachu is done, that guy will be saying a whole lot more than just not bad. Pikachu, return! Ash broke his inner thoughts. Pikachu turned around, surprised at being recalled. He sighed in disappointment before begrudgingly making his way back to Ash. His trainer knelt down, patting him. You did great out there, buddy. But that Houndoom's whole moveset is a nasty counter to yours. Don't worry, you'll get your chance later. Pikachu rolled his eyes, crossing his arms in frustration, but he didn't protest. Ash had a point, even if it was an annoyingly fair one. This was a team effort after all. I have to hand it to you, Ren. Houndoom's really strong. Ash stood up, staring back at Ren and the snarling Houndoom. She seemed particularly annoyed, especially at Ash for withdrawing her prey. He chuckled nervously. That's enough, girl. Ren patted the back of his Houndoom. Her muscles relaxed as she calmed down. Your Pikachu is also pretty strong. Yeah, Pikachu is something else, isn't he? Ash rubbed under his nose. He still needed to think about his next choice. The Trailblaze was a real pain to deal with. I need someone. A loud and proud roar erupted in the canyon, breaking Ash's train of thought. Without waiting for Ash's permission, the flame Pokemon descended on the battlefield. Letting out another earth-shaking roar, Charizard declared himself as Ash's second choice. Charizard? Ash exclaimed, taken aback. Charizard turned his head around, giving his trainer a familiar smirk. Ash chuckled. Same old Charizard. Alright, this one's yours. Let's fight fire with fire. Letting one's Pokemon decide who'll fight next. That was a first time for Ren. Never a dull moment with good old Charizard, I say. Professor Oak smiled. Ash's fire type cheered the loudest for their fellow kin. I can tell, Misaki nodded. That Charizard definitely knows how to make an entrance. Flamethrower! Both trainers commanded in unison. The two fire types shot forward with equal moxie. Their raw power was anything but equal. Charizard's flamethrower sliced through the opposing flames like a knife cutting through the butter. His flames hammered down on the Hound, creating a blast of smoke. That's the stuff I'm talking about, Ash exclaimed as Charizard roared. Ash hasn't even seen half of what Charizard can do now. I won't be celebrating so soon. Ren placed his hand on his hips, the smoke cleared, and Houndoom emerged completely unharmed. Charizard's eyes widened in disbelief. You gotta be kidding me. That Houndoom's ability is Flash Fire. Ash immediately filled in the dots. Charizard's fire type attacks won't do a thing. Charizard growled in frustration. The first hit and it was all for nothing. That Charizard is dangerous. Ren narrowed his eyes. Without Flash Fire, Houndoom would have taken significant damage. Question is, just how dangerous? Only one way to find out. Houndoom, use Trailblaze. I don't think so. Flash Fire won't stop us. We have plenty of other tricks. Charizard, let's check out one of your brand new moves. Give him Hurricane. Charizard spread his wings. Before flapping them to unleash the storm, harsh winds stopped Houndoom dead in her tracks as she gritted her teeth, struggling to stand on her feet. The very force of nature demanded her to kneel. Good thing I checked Charizard's move before the battle, Ash smirked, because they won't forget this one anytime soon. Charizard, use Dragon Rush! Charizard rocketed towards Houndoom, a primal draconic energy wrapping his entire body in the process. He smashed into her with all his might, dust erupting everywhere as a result. Houndoom whimpered, staggering back. The second hit, and Charizard made it count. The momentum was back on their side. Toxic. Ren shattered that delusion with a single word. Houndoom immediately regained her resolve and fury as she lunged forward, slamming her fangs into Charizard's right arm. Charizard howled in pain as the poison was injected into his body. He flailed his arm desperately before finally managing to free it. Houndoom jumped back to Ren's side of the battlefield. She needed to create some distance between herself and Charizard, especially since the effect of Dragon Rush was clearly visible. Charizard! Charizard gritted his teeth, a purple ooze taking over his face. The moment they got a semblance of control over the battle, Ren immediately took it back. Charizard was now on a timer. Oh my, he's definitely your brother, Professor Oak remarked, his eyes fixed on the battle. It was certainly as intense as he hoped from trainers of their caliber. Ren barely lost his cool after his Pokemon got struck by that mighty Dragon Rush. He has the same approach as you when you battle Misaki, controlling the flow of the entire battle. Of course he would, Misaki smirked haughtily. Nobody said she couldn't be a little biased and brag about her little brother. Return, Ren recalled his fire type. He placed her Pokeball back on his belt before bringing out another one. This one should do the trick. You're switching? Ash thought out loud. He had a feeling Ren was going to stall with his Houndoom's Trailblaze. Perhaps he wasn't confident with that approach due to Charizard's Hurricane. This is a 6-on-6 battle, remember? While I don't doubt my Houndoom's ability in the slightest, it's not like I need to solely rely on one Pokemon, especially when there are far more effective ways to win. Ren answered before he swung his Pokeball. And for someone like your Charizard, it's only fair I meet power with power. Lend me your strength, Nidoking. The drill Pokemon took his place on the battlefield, letting out a roar of declaration, a declaration of his power. Charizard roared back. That's the type of opponent he preferred battling, the ones who met power with power. Nidoking's not the best matchup for us, Ash muttered. Then he smirked. But when has that ever stopped us? You asked for this. Ren clicked his finger. Nidoking, use Thunderbolt. Nidoking roared before unleashing a bolt of lightning that hammered down on Charizard. The flame Pokemon growled as the painful sensation of the super effective attack coursed through his body. Poison soon followed, adding salt to the injury. That was fast. Ash's eyes widened in surprise. That Thunderbolt was almost as fast as Pikachu's. This Nidoking was no joke. They couldn't risk another opening. Charizard, use Flamethrower. We can't let them overwhelm us. Nidoking, do it again. The elemental attacks collided, cancelling one another. Well, that didn't help, Ash muttered. Let's switch things up. Charizard, use Hurricane. Charizard ascended to the skies before he resummoned the harsh winds. I won't be falling for that one twice. Ren scoffed. Nidoking, anchor yourself. Nidoking nodded before slamming his arms into the ground. The harsh winds crashed into the drill Pokemon, yet Nidoking remained steady and grounded. Come on. Ash groaned in annoyance. Hurricane was completely useless now that Nidoking had stuck himself in the ground. Nidoking was stuck. This was the opening they needed. Charizard, stop the Hurricane. Dive down with Dragon Rush. Full power. Charizard complied, closing his wings as he let gravity pull him towards the ground. Gravitational force accelerated his descent and the force of his impact as a result. Stop him with Mega Horn, Ren commanded in response. Charizard slammed into Nidoking with the full force of Dragon Rush. The latter struggled to match the overwhelming power of Charizard, which was now amplified. The very ground beneath Nidoking started to break. He won't be able to contain it for long. The ground beneath Nidoking shattered. I have been waiting for this moment. Ren slammed his fist forward. Nidoking, use Poison Jab. Nidoking smirked before pulling his freed arms out of the shattered ground. His gauntlets were coated with poison before he slammed his fist into Charizard's face, sending him flying back. Charizard coughed, the poison taking its toll on his body once more. He shook off his dizziness. He still had plenty of fight left in him, but he would be lying if he said that last attack didn't hurt. Nidoking roared, expressing his power. If that Charizard wasn't going to stand down, then the drill Pokemon would force him to do so. He charged another Thunderbolt. Charizard, return! Ash exclaimed in desperation. Nidoking stopped dead in his track. Turning back to face Ren, his trainer nodded. They won't attack a recalled Pokemon. Charizard, however, could only look back at Ash in disbelief. Ash had never recalled him mid-battle before. He couldn't accept such a command. He wouldn't accept it. He could still fight. He could still win. Charizard, I know how you feel. Trust me, I do. Ash approached the fire type before cupping the flame Pokemon's face in his hands. The raven-haired teen gently rubbed the fire type's face. But this is a team effort, you know? So we gotta act like one. Besides, it's not over yet. I promise you'll get a chance to show off your awesome power once again. Pikachu chimed in, backing up Ash's claim. His previous frustration had vanished now that he got some time to cool off his head. Charizard needed to trust the rest of them. Besides, big guns like him and Charizard were meant for the late game anyways. Charizard narrowed his eyes, staring into Ash's own eyes. Ash seemed so different now, so resolute. The flame Pokemon rolled his eyes. Fine, he would walk away from this one, for Ash. I knew you'd listen. Now let me just... A dreadful realization struck Ash. Wait, hold on. I only have the Pokeball for the Pokemon I caught in Kalos. I forgot to bring the Pokeball for the rest of my Pokemon. Charizard and Pikachu could only look at him with stunned silence. He forgot what? What are they even doing? Ren asked, completely baffled by their antics. Nidoking shared the same sentiment as his trainer, scratching his cheek in confusion at the sight of the panicking trainer and Pokemon. Both of them came to a singular conclusion. What a bunch of weirdos. They sure are a lively bunch. Misaki struggled to contain her laughter. This boy! Professor Oak melted in embarrassment. He had to save Ash's and in turn his own reputation. Ash, I believe you are forgetting something. You can switch out any Pokeball in hand with the Pokeballs inside my lab with the help of your Pokédex. Charizard and Pikachu stopped panicking, turning to give Ash the most judgmental look he had ever received. Did he really forget that? Hey, in my defense, I never used that option. Ash slowed down. His justification made it sound worse, especially with the looks Charizard and Pikachu were giving him. Okay, maybe that wasn't the best defense, but still. Best not to argue anymore. He quickly exchanged one of the Pokeballs he had on hand with Charizard's. Sorry about that, Ash apologized, recalling the huffing fire type. Pikachu sighed in exaggeration. Only Ash. So, where were we again? Ash turned his attention back to the battlefield ahead. Gone was his earlier embarrassment. All that remained was his focus. Nidoking is one big trouble. I'll suggest you choose your next Pokemon wisely, Ren advised, given my Nidoking's ability is Poison Point. Add that with his Poison Jab, he has plenty of ways to poison your Pokemon. Nidoking showed off both his Poison Jab and Venomous Horn, expressing his power. Now that's another problem to deal with. I can't let what happened to Charizard repeat. Ash weighed his options. Most of his Pokemon that could match Nidoking in terms of raw power bore the risk of being poisoned. But meeting power with power wasn't his only option. He had the perfect counter. I got it. I choose you, Muck. Muck slithered to the battlefield, letting out a delighted cry of his name. He was clearly eager to battle by Ash's side after so long. The last time they fought together was back in the Johto League. If we can't poison it, we'll beat it the old school way. Give them a taste of Thunderbolt once again. Nidoking slammed his fists together before unleashing a bolt of lightning that charged towards Muck, tearing the ground in the process. Not so fast. Muck, use Mud Shot. Ash made a gesture of swinging his right arm. Muck opened his enormous mouth before launching piles of mud. Mudshot collided with Thunderbolt, both struggling to overpower the other. Then, Mudshot overpowered Thunderbolt, critically hitting Nidoking on the chest, forcing the behemoth to drop on one knee. Sorry, Ren, but I got your Nidoking figured out. Nidoking is all about burst damage, Ash exclaimed. But that means Nidoking isn't the best when it comes to sustaining his attacks for long period of time. Unfortunately for you, my Muck is nothing but consistent. Is that so? Ren scoffed dismissively. We'll see about that consistency. Nidoking, use Mega Horn. Drain Punch, Ash smirked, countering in response. Nidoking charged forward with the fury of vengeance, his horn wrapped in a predatory energy that extended it forward. Muck didn't stand down, channeling his inner power to block the incoming attack. Muck groaned, sweat dripping from his body as he struggled to match the overwhelming power of Nidoking. Do it, Nidoking! Nidoking broke through the Drain Punch, connecting with Muck's abdomen. And nothing happened. What? Nidoking's eyes widened in disbelief. Of course, Muck's body composition nullifies Nidoking's physical attacks. His only real option is using ranged attacks now, Professor Oak realized. Ash was certainly showing his new and improved skills. Now, use Screech, Ash's smirk widened as he clenched his fist tight. Muk opened his humongous mouth, blasting away Nidoking with an ear-piercing sound. Nidoking winced, his guard lowered after that experience. Knock off! Muk skidded as fast as he could to close the distance between them before giving Nidoking a backhanded slap on the face with all the nasty energy Muk could muster. The hit was extra painful thanks to Nidoking's weakened endurance. Now wrap this up with Body Slam! Muk let out a bellowing cry of his name, matching his trainer's intensity. He could smell the taste of triumph inches away from him, waiting for him to grasp hold of it. Muk stretched his body, towering over Nidoking. Then, he slammed into the drill Pokemon, engulfing him under his weight. Nidoking thrashed, struggling to break free from the weight of the living pile of sludge. Yet, all of his efforts remained futile, as he was consumed by the darkness. The Body Slam will slowly but surely weaken Nidoking until he can no longer battle. It's over for you, Ren. Ash flashed a grin, a seemingly perfect victory. You're right, it's over, Ren admitted, closing his eyes. It's over for you. Ren reopened his eyes, now sharper than before. Nidoking, it's time. Use Earth power. Don't hold anything back. A golden light pierced through the veil of darkness. The very ground beneath them shook in response as Earth power pierced through Muk's Body Slam, blasting away the sludge Pokemon without a shred of resistance. Don't give them any chance. End it. Earth power. Ren stripped away Ash's victory before he could even comprehend the situation, his command booming across the battlefield. Nidoking hammered his gauntlet into the ground as the raw elemental energy erupted from within. Muk was struck with another super effective blow right when he landed on the ground. Muk lay unconscious, spirals in his eyes. Ren had claimed the first knockout in this battle. Silence befalled all. No way. How? Ash's eyes shook in disbelief. Muk was supposed to be the perfect counter for Nidoking. He was supposed to win this round. Victory was within his reach. I knew it. It's not like you to suddenly reveal your Pokemon's ability to your opponent for no reason, Ren. Misaki stepped forward, catching everyone's attention. Unless you wanted your opponent to primarily focus on only one aspect of your Pokemon. What are you getting at? Ren played the role of ignorance. That you specifically emphasized Nidoking's ability to poison Ash's Pokemon, which would naturally encourage him to use a steel or poison type Pokemon. Misaki narrowed her eyes. Both of those types are immune to getting poisoned, but they are also vulnerable to ground type attacks, like Earth power for example. Ash's eyes widened in disbelief. Ren wanted him to use Muk? Nidoking played a convincing role too. Pokemon like Nidoking are known to be proud and boastful, so when he showed off his poison jab and his horn's venom, most trainers would naturally assume he was doing just that, showing off. Did I miss something? All eyes darted towards Ren, waiting for confirmation. Every second felt like an eternity. Feeling rather charitable today, aren't you? Ren rolled his eyes. What's the big occasion? I just felt like it, evening out the odds, you know. Misaki dropped her sharp look, now winking with a mischievous smile on her face. Ren sighed. Of course she would reveal his tricks just to annoy him. What's lost was lost, no point dwelling on the past. He'll just need to think of something brand new. All while the raven-haired teen could only contemplate Misaki's explanation, it almost felt unsettling. The way Ren controlled the entire battle so naturally, every clash they had, every exchange of attacks, every time he thought he was the one in control, it was nothing but a fallacy. You tricked me, Ash muttered. He needed to take a moment to regain his composure. Yeah, so what? Ren replied sharply. Did you really think I'll reveal my cards for no reason? Ash flinched. It didn't seem strange now that he thought about it. 3 rounds. You had 3 rounds to figure out my battle style. Ren hardened his gaze. If I was really struggling, would I have really kept on going with Nidoking? He wouldn't. Ren had no reason to let Nidoking battle Muk if Nidoking had no way to beat him. He has been in control of this battle since the start. The only time he wasn't in full control, he switched without hesitation. Ren keeping Nidoking in the battle was the biggest red flag of them all. Ash should have seen it coming. He got too hasty. So, let me ask you this. Is that it? Ren demanded. Is this your limit? Is this the point where you break? His breaking point? Perhaps Ash's chances were hopeless. Ren had been dominating this battle since the start. Not because he was leagues stronger than Ash. In fact, Ash was fairly confident both of their Pokemons were pretty much equal in terms of their overall abilities. It was Ren who was proving himself superior to Ash almost every time, the superior trainer. Yet, all Ash felt was nothing but the thrill of the battle. He couldn't describe this internal emotion, but these feelings almost felt forbidden, yet captivating. The more Ren proved himself superior to the raven-haired teen, the more Ash wanted to try harder, to win. Man, you really are strong, Ren, and really smart. It's almost intimidating. Ash broke into laughter as he readjusted his hat. He raised his head high, his smirk wider than before. So keep coming at me with those tricks, because the stronger you are, the more I just want to beat you. Me and my Pokemon are more pumped up than ever. You hear me, Ren? Is that so? Ren tilted his head, then he met Ash's challenge head on. Then, you're more than welcome to try. And that's where we are going to end the first chapter of this ambitious project today. I hope this chapter lived up to your expectations and that you enjoyed the liberties I took with this timeline, such as the addition of Antia. It's generally hard to make the audience attached to OCs, especially in comparison to canon characters, but I hope I was able to do a satisfactory enough job of demonstrating Ren's skills in a believable way without cheapening Ash's skill, and making sure Ash still feels competent enough. The point of this story is to push Ash harder than ever before, both as a trainer and as a person, and trust me, Ash will be challenged in far more different ways from how a traditional Anipoke series challenges him. Let me know your thoughts on the Dawnera region's description, the character dynamics, and whether you like the battle so far. Until then, your champ's out.